Hi, Ted Morrissey here, making a video for my course at Southern New Hampshire University. And this is the class where we make a website or a blog and then link that with a social media account or more, but at least one, to create an authorial presence. As writers, we feel like we need to be online, and so this is the class where we make that happen. Right? And things are getting serious, so I wanted to just give you a few pointers, things to think about kind of going forward. And one of the things is we're kind of all over the place as a class, meaning that there are some of us who already have websites, and we've had websites for years, and we're very comfortable online. We have social media accounts that we use on a regular basis. And then we have other people on the other extreme of that spectrum where we haven't ever created a website, we don't really use social media, and so we find it all kind of intimidating. And then within those two different groups, you have a combination of people who maybe they haven't created a website before, and maybe they don't have any social media accounts that they use, but they want to. They feel like as a writer they should have those things. They've been meaning to do that, so this course can give them the opportunity to do it. And then you've got other folks who are not familiar with any of that. They don't have a website, they're not on social media, and they don't really want to be. They want to maintain their privacy, but yet they have to take this class and they have to produce this stuff, this website, and have a social media account. Now, it can all be private, so you need to keep that in mind. So those of you who are opposed to this whole idea, you can keep your website private, you can keep your social media private, so that it's not out in the world for anybody to see. And if you're not sure how to do that kind of going forward, just talk to me and I'll help you figure that out. But a couple of things that I want to give you to think about going forward. One is, don't be intimidated if you're one of those folks who hasn't done a website before and you don't really know how to do it at this point. It's okay. Just think of it as another creative project. Just have fun with it. I'm here to help you through the process, so make sure you rely on me if you need some assistance along the way. And the best way for that to happen, frankly, is to request a Zoom meeting, and we can have a conversation in real time. We can share screens if need be. If you start down this path and you just get really confused and you're not sure what to do, I'm always there, just a Zoom call away, right? I'm happy to talk to you about it, and almost always, fairly quickly, we can figure out kind of what's going on and kind of help you through the process and so forth. So relax, you're going to be fine. I've taught this class many, many times, and there's always folks who just can't comprehend how they're going to get through it, and they always do, as long as they put forth just a little bit of effort. So have fun with it. Also keep in mind that your end result, the final project, only has to have 3 elements. I think some of us are looking at maybe professionally developed websites. Several of you mentioned authors like Stephen King and other well-known authors and their elaborate websites and that kind of thing, and so that seems kind of intimidating. But you don't have to produce anything close to that. Very simple website, again, 3 elements. You just have to have some kind of biographical statement, and it could just be 2, 3, 4 sentences. It doesn't have to be a long-winded artistic statement. It doesn't have to be a little memoir piece about your life and times. Just a very brief author bio. That's one thing. You need to have either a list of projects you're working on, or better, a list of publication credits. That's more typical of an author website. It's a little unusual for like a kind of working writer to go to their website and have them list things that they're just working on. But the course is set up in that way because, again, some of us don't have any publishing credits yet. We haven't written much. We haven't published anything. And so you don't really have any publishing credits to list. But if you do, as some of you do, go with that instead of the works in progress thing. List 1 or 2 or 3 stories you've published, poems you've published. If you've published, a book or 2 online, your self-publication, something like that, that's fine. List that stuff. But if not, if you don't have anything like that, that you can list in terms of publishing credits. Go with 1, 2, 3 things that you're working on, and that's fine. Now, if you do that, and if you keep your site beyond the scope of the course, as I hope you do, then you eventually probably want to replace that works in progress list with publishing credits, published stories, poems, essays, book publications eventually, that kind of thing. Okay, so that's 2. So just to recap, you need a biographical statement, and that can be very brief. You need either a list of publishing credits or a list of things you're working on. Again, that can be very brief. And then the third thing you need is a link to a social media account, just one, that you are actively using to help promote your authorial presence, your work, however you want to say it. So an Instagram account, TikTok account, Facebook, Threads, whatever, Blue Sky, doesn't matter. Any of those or other things are fine too. Just one. Now you can have more than one. You can have 2 or 3 or 4 social media accounts. But again, you only have to have one, and then it does have to be active by the end of the course, meaning that by the end of the course, I'll look and I'll see if your Instagram account or your Facebook account or your YouTube site or whatever it is has at least one, ideally more than one posting that has to do with your writing, with your books, with your poetry, with your whatever, just writing, publishing related, right? So just having an account, just having an Instagram account, for example, but if you don't use it at all by the end of the session, then I can't give you full credit for that. So 3 things. Biographical statement, and it can be very brief. List of either things you're working on or things you've already published. Again, it can be very brief. And then third, a link to at least one active social media account. Okay. Again, you can have more than that. That's the bare minimum, but the bare minimum is fine to get an A. Now you got to do a few other things along the way. You've got to write some stuff, and talk about why you did this versus that. So just having the site by itself won't guarantee you an A. But as far as the site is concerned, as far as the physical project you have to have online, that's all you need to get an A in the class. Okay. The other thing, excuse me, you might think you have to have multiple pages, and that certainly is possible. You could have a landing page for your authorial site, and then you could have a page that somebody clicks on to read your biography, a page someone clicks on to read your publishing credits or your works cited, and then a page you click on or a link of some sort to go to your Instagram account or Facebook or TikTok or whatever it is. That's fine. And if that's how you want to create it, that's okay too. But it doesn't have to be multiple pages. It could just be the single landing page, and you could just have those 3 elements on your one page, right? So you could have your biographical statement, your list of publications or things you're working on, and your link to social media, all on one page. Sometimes people who are unfamiliar with the process and are a little bit confused by the whole thing, if they try to have multiple pages, that's where they can run into some difficulty. That's where they kind of create sometimes these Gordian knots where you have things listed in the menu that don't actually go anywhere, or every link goes to the same page, or things kind of bounce back and forth. It can get very confusing, and sometimes that's hard to unravel. So if you get yourself in that loop, I'll try to help you out. Usually we can figure it out, but those are the hardest issues to try to undo and simplify. So if you're really, really intimidated and really, really unsure of how to do all this, just a single page with those 3 elements is fine. Over time, if you like having a website and you want to keep expanding it, you can always work beyond the scope of the course to go from 1 page to 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 pages or whatever it is, right? But again, to succeed in this class, all you need is the website, and you just need those 3 elements, and they can all be on the same page. Okay. The other thing that sometimes people are confused about is they think they have to purchase a a website. So once you go into WordPress or Wix or GoDaddy or whatever you might go into, yes, they will encourage you to spend money to buy a special domain, to buy access to even cooler kind of templates for your website. And again, you're welcome to do that, but you don't have to spend a penny. All those places have free websites that you can use. Sometimes they don't have a very slick name. It's not going to be bobjonesauthor.com necessarily. But that's okay, all right? So if you're short on money or you just don't want to spend the money on it, no problem. Just click on the free website. Now again, they may keep encouraging you to pay a little extra for a special domain or a special kind of templates to have access to. And sometimes it looks like you have to do that in order to keep going forward. You don't. It's just kind of a marketing ploy, okay? Free websites are available on all those places, and free websites are fine, okay? Again, you might start off with a free one for this course, get you through, you get your A, everything's good. Later on, if you want to, you can keep the same website. You can just change the domain name. You can purchase a domain name, or you can change the template without losing any content. So keep it basic, keep it simple, keep it free for now if you want, and knowing that you can later change the format, use a different domain name, whatever, without having to redo your website, okay? So again, if you want to go whole hog now and create something really cool and have a special author, .com website, stephenking.com, tedmorsey.com, whatever, great. That's fantastic. But you don't have to. So don't come back with, gosh, I hate this class because money's a little short and all these places want me to buy a website. You don't have to buy one, okay? I get it. I've been there myself many a times. So anyway, free stuff is fine, okay? So keep it simple if you want to. Those 3 elements: bio statement, list of either things you've published or things you're working on, and a link to social media. Those are the only 3 requirements. At the end of the semester, when I'm going through your final project, those are the 3 things I'm looking for. As long as you've got them and they're working, you're golden. Everything is good, right? Again, if you want to keep those all on the same page, not try to worry about having multiple links, to this, that, and the other, also cool, okay? Now, there is one other element which I highly advise. It's not a requirement of the class, so this is not something you have to do. But I would encourage you to have some way at your website for people to contact you. And a lot of websites have that option where you can have like a contact page, some kind of way of people can send you email, and you don't have to post your email address. You can just have this contact page. It's kind of like a form, and people fill it out and they hit send, and then you have it linked to an email account inbox, so you get notifications that you've gotten a contact through your website, but you don't have to have your email address online. Now, I have my email address online, but you don't have to, right? And here's why I think it's a good idea to have that. What you're doing ideally is kind of putting your name out into the world as a writer and sharing some of your work either directly or through links or something. And hopefully people will be reading it and responding to it. And some of those people might want to get hold of you. They might be a literary agent who's read something of yours that you've published. It might be an editor of a journal who's read something and wants to encourage you to send them stuff. Maybe someone wants to interview you because they read your stuff and they really liked it, so they want to do a little interview and post it on their website or blog or whatever. Maybe, I don't know, James Cameron, read your short story and thinks it'd make a great movie and wants to get a hold of you. Make it easy for people to get a hold of you. as a publisher and as a podcaster, many times I am trying to get a hold of a writer. I've read their stuff. I want to reach out to them for one reason or another. And if I can find them easily, send them a note easily, that's great. Sometimes I discover they don't have a website, or they have a website, but there's no way to contact them, right? And maybe they have social media, but it's private, and so you have to request to be able to follow them before you can send them a message, those kinds of things. Quite honestly, to date, I've never been so inspired to get a hold of somebody that I jump through all those hoops. Yeah, I may want to contact someone. I may want to maybe publish some of their work, or let them know that their work is featured on our podcast or whatever. And so yeah, I'm happy to go to the trouble of going to their website or sending them a message on Instagram or whatever it might be. But if I go to do that and there are roadblocks, it's like, never mind. So make it easy for people to contact you, because hopefully you're going to have people who want to contact you, who want to do good things for you as a writer. And so, I understand the desire for privacy. I totally get that. But if you wall yourself off too much from people, then even those people who can do you good as a writer and who want to do you good have a hard time getting a hold of you. So even though it's not a requirement of the class, I would definitely encourage you to have something on your website to that will allow people to contact you easily. And if you don't want to do that, which is fine, another option is if you have Instagram or Facebook or something and you make it public so people can access it easily, they can send you messages that way. And I've done that. In fact, just very recently, I contacted a writer through their Instagram account. Sent them a message through Instagram, and they got right back to me, and we've had this little dialogue going back and forth. So that's great. So it can be done through social media, but somehow or another, make sure people can contact you who read your work and want to help you promote it somehow or another. Okay? I'm going to stop there. I don't want this video to be too long, but don't stress out. Enjoy the process as just another creative outlet. You're going to be fine. You're going to be able to do this, even if you get into a little bit of trouble. That's why I'm here. I'm happy to meet with you. I'm not an expert web designer, but I've been having websites that I've been working on for years, and like I said, teaching this class for the last couple of years regularly. People oftentimes run into a little bit of an issue, and so just a quick Zoom call, sharing screens, I can kind of see what they're doing or what they're not doing, or show them what they should be doing via my screen, and that usually solves the problem literally in like a minute or two. Once in a while we get into some sort of a situation, it takes a little longer to work out, but honest to goodness, most of the time people go from being completely frustrated and stressed out to, oh, this is pretty easy in like 60 seconds. But it just takes a matter of, oh, click on that, no, click on that, change that, no, don't do that. But I've got to be able to see your screen. We've got to be able to have a real-time conversation to do that. Trying to do it, lagging, emails. I've had situations where people will email me a question, and so it might be a day or so before I see it, and then I respond to it, and then it might be 2 or 3 days before they see my reply. So they've got like a whole week being stressed out about this situation, whereas if we can have a quick real-time conversation, we can work it all out. All right, I'm gonna stop there. Have fun, enjoy it. Remember, it's simple. You don't have to have a complicated website, and reach out if you have any questions.